Got the wimpy factory stuff out. Time to put the good stuff in. Howdy, and welcome to Broken Tool Garage. This week, I'm working on JYM. I'm doing a little bit of a wiring upgrade. A while back, actually a couple of years ago, I put the Walbro 255 fuel pump in my Fox Mustang. Now, I ran into some issues pretty quick with, I found some burnt wires, I found some bare wires, I found some stuff that just needed upgraded, and that was just too wimpy. Well, it's probably just too wimpy because it's 30 years old, and too wimpy for that size of pump. This time, I'm going to be going over the final upgrades on that and finishing the fuel pump wiring upgrade. Okay, little intros out of the way, so I want to go into something right quick just to let you know up front on this video. I am going to be going into a lot more effort and depth doing this than what you have to do this. So this is going to give you an idea of one way you can do it. If you want, I guess, a more simpler way of going about it, you can watch Neil Mustangs. This is actually what gave me the idea to do this and upgrade my fuel pump and all these things, right? I'll watch his stuff, and I'm just going about it a little bit different method than what he did. Okay, well, we're looking at the south end of a northbound Mustang. Well, technically it's the east end of a westbound Mustang, but don't be a stickler. So what I'm doing is, whenever I wired my fuel pump, did a video on that, just doing the part that goes inside the tank and reworking that because I had a problem with the where the factory wires come out. It actually burnt through. So I did the Neil Mustang's wiring upgrade right here, but I stopped at this point and didn't finish it all the way up to where it gets main power and the relay and all that good stuff, right? So that's what I'm addressing right now. I'm just going to come through and undo this right here. I'll probably just bypass this connector, put my own connector in there, because the problem I'm going to have is these wires are pretty small. If I'm trying to do my 10 gauge in there, right, I would have to have the Molex connector, one big enough for a 10 gauge that would go down in that slot. So I'm not quite confident that that's going to work. So I'm just going to put a little connector there, and then what I'll do, I'll come up in local ground somewhere in here. Okay, so we already looked at the bottom half. So those wires come up and they come into here through a little grommet hole right there. So if I chase some of my wires down, I'm kind of looking at the colors right here, paying attention. It looks like the ground wire comes over, if we peeled it back, and would ground out right there. So that leaves my wire running all the way up. So we figured out the ground. We have our little switch right here. What I'm looking at, what I think is going on with this is the red wire, the small red wire here. It looks like maybe a 16 gauge, both of those. What those are is that goes from the computer to the relay. Actually, it comes here. And what this switch does, this is your inertia switch. So if you come back and, get bumped, it turns the fuel pump off, right? So I want to leave that in there, and that's on the relay side, which I'm not trying to upgrade anyway. I want to upgrade the pump side of that relay. Anyways, yeah, now you know what I'm talking about. So I went in and took some of these panels out because I want to route my wires up into the car, kind of where the factory position is on that, and do my convoluted tubing and all that good stuff on there and get that down into there. So that is the power going to the pump. So we know that's a good line. If I have any question, I can, whenever I'm upgrading this, I can snip this one and then go over, back over there and just do a continuity check, and then I know that that's the same wire with no breaks or anything. So that's our power out. We see our power in. That is a 12 gauge wire. I've replaced that When I was in here and originally doing the fuel, I noticed, doing a fuel pump wiring upgrade, I noticed that little dinky, like little 14 gauge, 16 gauge wire powering the fuel pump, it had some broke spots in it. And it had cracks, and it just did not look good. So I've replaced that little patch. I chased it down to where it was looking real good right here, and that's what this little connector is right there that I've been running on for a few years. So I wasn't ready to go ahead and just run new wire back there. I didn't have the wire, and I just wasn't prepared to do it. So you see I got my new wire now, and now is the time for me to finish doing this wiring upgrade. So what I think I can do is set the light right there and then come around this side. So it's a pre-existing hole that I'm not using. If we can see right in there, my screen's already dimmed out. Right by where the cruise control is, there's a hole that I can put a grommet in, it looks like, and it's a really good size for a 10 gauge wire. Should all work out fine. Keyword should. So that'll bring me out, and we'll come out right down through there, and then I can come in and hook into the solenoid. Okay, get it wired up. I am going to do a change though, but this is essentially what it's going to do. So we're hooked into here, and I have all of this stuff routed the way I want it, so nothing can twist and hit anything else, right? Locked in. I'm going to route it to come along here, go along down through there, and then I'll exit this main bundle right here, and we'll try to get it pasted up on the side right here, and then run down through our little hole right here where the like the cruise and the windshield washer and all that stuff will go. And I'll put the convoluted tubing on there. So on this side, that grommet I was talking about, you can see right in there in the firewall, there's a grommet that goes in there. I can see it pretty good. Okay, now you should be able to see it. Ooh, I keep getting in the light, but I'll have to put an arrow on that. So that grommet fits pretty good and goes through there. Now the grommet I used that works good is the little 3/8 grommet right here, and that'll fit a 10 gauge wire quite nice. Actually, the one I have has just a hair more insulation than this, so it fits nice and snug. Coming in here, so I'm just bringing it all the way down through here. Here's my new relay, the nice little weather pack, and you know, it's all new connectors. It's not 30-year-old stuff that's all brittle. Not that I'm going to throw this away. Hey, the clip is not really broke on that one. But anyways, I'm just going to rewire that in with the same distance, put it in the same location, and then continue my wire going all the way back through there and just bundle it up with all the factory wires on there. And I'll just put new convoluted tubing on there all the way back. So should have enough. Now the thing I'm going to do different is up here, get my fuse. So I don't have a fuse in there right now. I don't know what the factory did. They probably had a fusible link, maybe a fusible link wire or something goofy. So what I'm going to do instead of where we're at right here where the wire's connected in with a ring terminal, I'll just put the ring terminal into my fuse and then just run that up and around, you know, the same thing, and just have that sticking out of the bundle, right? And just tape that down and then connect my main wire in there. And yeah, these are both 10 gauge wires. Just like I said, that has a little more insulation on there. And I think that'll do a lot better, because if not, I'll have to go through, and if I did it the way I have it now, I'd have to take and cut the wire, do a butt connector, then come over here and do another butt connector and connect the wire in there. So that eliminates a butt connector right there. And I'll just do you know, got plenty of these ring terminals right here. I'll just put one on the end of that and hook it up, done. I think that'll just be a little bit more elegant for what I'm doing. So that's where we're at now. We're going to get this looking pretty. Well, it's a 30-year-old car. It's not going to look pretty. Whenever I get this complete and looking the way I want it, then I'll show you what it looks like. Some of you may think this is a mess. Well, guess what? You're right. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I have the main power coming in. That's cut. That's been updated with the new fuse right here. So I have the power in, I have the power going out right here. So what I have left is the two wires here, the signal wire. So I got a ground wire right here and the signal wire right here. So which of these is a ground wire and which one's a signal wire? So I could look this up. I do know this red one here goes all the way back to that inertia switch and comes back up here. So I have a theory that that's probably the all-time hot wire, and the computer comes through and grounds it. Because what happens is, if you remember, when you turn your fuel pump on, it spins up for like a second or two and then turns off every time you cycle the key, right? Well, that's a logic in the computer doing that. So how I'm going to test that is I have my, if this red one right here, if it is 12 volts all the time with the key on, then I know the other one has to be the one cycling it, right? All right, here we are. And nothing, because I don't have good contact, because I'm trying to do it with one hand. And nothing, because I don't have a, there, I'm gonna turn the key all the way over. So that's a constant 12 volts right there, right? So now I'm gonna check the other side, but I need to check the other side for ground, because I ain't gonna have power on it, right? Come in, all right, recombobulated, so we see that it is grounded out right now, but it doesn't have any power to it. So as soon as we hit power, it will ground out and then it'll go open. Bam. Grounded out, went open. So we know that's going to the computer and it's turning the fuel pump on and off as it sees fit. So that's how I need to wire these up. The one that switches will be my ground, because that's what's being grounded right there. So that is the little brown and turquoise one. Now I did kind of do a little bit of chasing, and this does go way up in there, hidden somewhere. It don't ground. If it's going to ground, it would ground locally right here, right? So those two are going to go together, and then that leaves the white one and the red one right here to go together, and that will make this relay work. Okay, here we are. So you see we started out right here. There's my wire coming in. Got my fuse in there. I got a 15 amp in there. I kind of want a 10, but a 10 actually might be a hair borderline for that pump, especially if I crank the PSI up. Going all the way down through there, through here. Down into that one little spot I showed you right there. Through the firewall, all convoluted tubing. Yeah, because you can totally see that, right? And coming in through here. Don't quite have all that convoluted tubing. I do need to kind of zip tie that up just a little bit. Coming all the way down, that's wired in right there. Coming all the way down, I do have this in there pretty good. I don't, fighting my carpet that wants to, probably need to throw that crappy carpet away. Anyways, coming down through here, zip tied in, so on and so on. All the way around to the back. Down and through there, you saw me drill the hole in there. I just ran the wire through there. into the convoluted tubing that was already existing, so y'all saw that part, all the way down to here, comes out, and then connects in right there. I still got a little bit of tidy up work to do, but you see the general idea of this. I mean, you know, I'm going to heat shrink that. I also still need to do the ground. Now, one thing I want to show you is look at the wire size difference. This is what I went from, this is what I'm going to. So I still need to do the ground side, but I do have it all connected up in here, right? This is just the old wire right there, nothing major there. It's cut at this point, there's nothing going through it. I just really didn't want to go in and unpin it just because, right? Okay, last little segment is getting, I had to go buy some, that's why I didn't put some in earlier. My 10 gauge ground wire, I wanted black. I had some red, but that's just not appropriate for ground wire. Anyways, I'm going to get this put on and then get the back half turned in. Get the back half put back together. And then that's where we're going to stop on this video right here. I do have other things to do, like the seat reinforcement. I want to get that done. And then there's one more thing. I think I want to address the heater core on the car while I'm in here. And that'll fix all my drivability and safety issues right there for the car. So I'll go ahead and drive it, enjoy it over, well, winter and everything, right? So, well, let's show you what we got done. Like I said, it's just doing the same thing I've been doing. So nothing real fancy right there. I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, done. It's all tucked up in there. And got all that back in. All right, inside now. I don't have all the inside back in because we got the seat mount. That's the next thing I'm going to address right there. But like what I showed before, this just sits right where the factory one would sit. Nice brand new wire, weather pack connector. Just a good little upgrade right there while I'm in here. All right, well, that'll sum that up on the fuel pump wiring. And that's going from the pump all the way up to the solenoid. Adding weather pack connectors in there, so that's replacing that relay and putting a few inline fuse in there, so there's a lot of good safety. It's new wire, which is always better than the old. Well, the wire don't really wear out, the insulation wears out, and then you get corrosion inside of it, and then you start having issues, right? So that's how I went about doing all of this. So you can take from that, and you can take from Dan at Neo Mustangs what he did. Also Funky Stangs, you can go check out his channel too, and that'll be some good inputs and resources you have for caring for your Fox Mustang. Now this also can apply to whatever vehicle. If you got an electric fuel pump, all this still applies, right? So I hope you enjoyed this, maybe you learned something out of it, found it useful, and I'll see you next time on Broken Tool Garage.